At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
The Justice Network is here. If you haven't tuned in, you're missing a great lineup of gripping stories of real crime, plus an unprecedented effort by viewers like you to play an active role in making your community safer. You can help support law enforcement by providing information that may lead to the apprehension of dangerous criminals or find a missing child. Great shows and your chance to fight crime, only on the Justice Network.
Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Glad you're with us. It's rainy, it's windy outside. The big storm is already here. We'll have that at the top of our program. The lead story is weather. Also, the second part, though, for the full, well, I'd say 50 minutes, we're going to talk about politics with our guy, Tal Cloud. Back in just a moment. All right, today's program sponsored by Dr. Thomas Casagrande, the owner of 2020 Optometrics out there at Shaw and Blackstone. He's been out there 20 years, more than 2,000 frames to choose from. Might as well get right to it. The weather is, well, rainy outside. It's windy. The storm is here. Austin Reed is here to tell us what the update is.
Hey, John, good morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Obviously, Halloween was on Saturday. It was beautiful on Halloween. We saw temperatures in the 60s as trick-or-treaters were out and about. Yesterday was pretty nice. Temperatures were in the 70s for highs. But overnight, if you woke up this morning, you probably noticed it was very, very wet. Let's roll some video right now. This is rain video coming in to work this morning. I live out in Clovis, and I shot this video with my cell phone coming in from 168 and then moved over to Highway 41 rather. This is actually video outside our Ventura Broadcasting Company studios. We'll just keep this up. This is totally fine because you can see the pour down. This started right around 8:30 this morning, and the rain has not let up. Our Ventura Broadcasting Company studios right off Ventura Avenue and right near First and Cedar, outside downtown Fresno, right off the 41. So the rain is continuing. We can feel it and hear it here inside our studios this morning. We might have some other video that I captured also with my cell phone. There it is right there, Ara, thank you. You can see this is Highway 168, me getting ready to go on to 41 this morning. A lot of rain. Now, there is possibilities of flooding today across the Central Valley, so especially in those flood-prone areas, you definitely want to watch for that. In the mountains, we are under a winter storm advisory. This went into effect last night at 10 o'clock. I've been looking at the models all day yesterday and early this morning. This storm will not expire until 10 o'clock tonight. We can put up a full screen. This is the weather advisory. Here's kind of a rundown of what we are going to be dealing with. So Kings Canyon to Yosemite, this is where the winter storm warning is. Again, it went into effect last night, will continue until 10 o'clock tonight. So from 5 to 7,000 feet, that's where the snow level will be. We're looking for 8 to 19 inches of snow above 7,000 feet. Watch for dangerous driving conditions. John, there could very well be some chain requirements going into effect in the mountains as early as this morning. So if you are going to be heading out in that area, please use caution. And then, of course, as I was just talking about, localized flooding. Here's the forecast for today in Fresno. We are looking for a high of 58 degrees. That is very cool compared to this time last week. And look at the low. That should be actually 46. I apologize. That was my bad. But again, high 58, low 46, humidity 93%. So it's going to be rainy today. We are going to see a little bit of winds, anywhere from 15 to 16 miles an hour. Thunderstorms late. So this is a very early November storm. Tomorrow, this will be out of here. We're going to see temperatures.
That's it?
That's it. That's it. This is a quick storm.
I'm done? Gone?
You're done. You're done.
my
Don't have to
gosh.
deal with it anymore.
Wow.
So that's the good news. This is really just kind of a one-punch hit today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, temperatures will be in the 60s, and it will be sunny.
We will, in a couple of weeks on this program, have the people from the National Weather Service on this program. They're located in Hanford, gracious enough to come on and talk about the potential for that El Nino later this year. And if that happens, you know, I don't know if we're going to get enough rain to make up for the amount of water we've lost the last 4 years. It could cause massive flooding if it happens. They're not only talking potentially for this year, but for the next few years, an El Nino type effect.
You know, it's getting to the point, and I've been looking at the models as well, it's getting to the point where we could really see an El Nino year with a lot of rain. So fingers crossed, because we need it.
You got it. Austin Reed, thank you very much. That's your weather update. You can watch them on the Justice Network each and every Monday through Friday starting at 6 with weather updates, news updates. That's part of the Ventura Broadcasting family. Back with our show here after this from Thomas Casagrande. Remember, we've got a hot potato, a political show today talking about the GOP debate. Back in just a moment.
Revin is now on KVHF channel 4.4.
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. The Justice Network is seen here in Fresno and made possible by the Ventura Broadcasting Company. To see how law enforcement all across Central California are fighting crime, watch Local Choice with Austin Reed, where you'll see interviews and special reports with those who keep us safe every day. Local Choice with Austin Reed, daily on the Justice Network, Fresno, exclusively on KVBC Channel 13.5.
Glad you're back with us here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno on this Monday morning. Usually it's on the air off the presses, but today, you know what? We're talking politics. But first, time to remind you that Thomas Casagrande is our sponsor today, 2020 Optometrics. Good guy. Go out there and see him. And also time to remind you, Comcast Channel 375 is our channel right here. It is called Xfinity. But if you don't have cable, not to worry. You can still watch our program over the air broadcast with an antenna, 43.6, 13.1, and you can watch the replay later in the day, of course, on 13.6 YouTube, 4.6 Biz TV. That comes up at 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock tonight. So the World Series is over. You can watch our show at night if you so choose. At John Mallows Me TV is the Twitter account. Before I move into the meat part of our program today here on Connect with Me, I should say congratulations to the Kansas City Royals winning their first World Series in 30 years, coming from behind in grand fashion last night, of course, at Citi Field in New York. They won the ball game. They were down in the ninth inning, came back and tied it, went into extra innings, and of course they came back and won it, and beating the New York Mets in game number 5. And so it doesn't have to go back to Kansas City now, but congratulations. They had a terrific season. So did the Mets. Their manager, Terry Collins, though, in question all over the New York media today about handling his pitching staff, or the lack thereof. Also, better watch out for the Raiders. Congratulations, Derek Carr. 4 touchdown passes yesterday in that big victory over the New York Jets at the Oakland Coliseum. So keep your eye out on Derek Carr. He is a big-time quarterback, one of the best right now in the NFL. He is a true leader. Let's talk politics now, because over the weekend, if you watched any of the shows, you probably watched Paul Ryan. He was all over the map yesterday, just about on every network, talking about, you know, immigration. He's not going to work with the president. We'll talk about that during the course of the show. Also yesterday, over the weekend, some of the GOP candidates met in Virginia to talk about how they can have more influence and more control over future debates. I believe the next debate is going to be November the 10th. It's going to be held on the Fox Business News channel. This after last week's GOP debate on CNBC, where many of the GOP candidates and the head of the Republican Party, they were complaining that that debate was held in bad faith and that they will no longer have any future debates on NBC or any of their sub-channels. Let's get a report now and take a look at the last debate that took place last Wednesday.
My record was one of cutting taxes each and every year. You don't have to guess about it, because I actually have a record.
Senator Rubio, you yourself have said that you've had issues. You have a lack of bookkeeping skills. You accidentally intermingled campaign money with your personal money. It raises the question whether you have the maturity and the wisdom to leave a $17 trillion economy. What do you say?
I didn't inherit any money. My dad was a bartender, my mother was a maid. They worked hard to provide us the chance at a better life. They didn't save enough money for us to go to school. I had to work my way through school. I had to borrow money to go to school. Try early in my marriage explaining to my wife why someone named Sally Mae was taking $1,000 out of our bank account every month.
Super PACs are a disaster. They're a scam. They cause dishonesty, and you better get rid of them, because they are causing a lot of bad decisions to be made by some very good people. And I'm not blaming these folks, but I guess I could.
You know, the Democrats have the ultimate super PAC. It's called the mainstream media, who every single day...
If you saw that blimp that got cut loose from Maryland today, it's a perfect example of government. I mean, what we had was something the government made, basically a bag of gas, that cut loose, destroyed everything in its path, left thousands of people powerless, but they couldn't get rid of it because we had too much money invested in it, so we had to keep it. That is our government today. We saw it in the blimp. I love Donald Trump. He is a good man. I'm wearing a Trump tie tonight. Get over that one, okay? Let me tell you, Donald Trump would be a better president every day of the week, and twice on Sunday rather than Hillary. I've spent a lifetime in politics fighting the Clinton machine.
Are we really talking about getting government involved in fantasy football? Wait a second. We have $19 trillion in debt. We have people out of work. We have ISIS and Al Qaeda attacking us. And we're talking about fantasy football? Can we stop?
Live in our studio now is Tal Cloud. He is the co-founder of the Lincoln Club, along with Mike Dermanuel Jr. He has conducted and executed more than a dozen debates of political leaders, political debates. Of course, he is an expert in politics. He helps get candidates here in the Central Valley that are running for office, even national office. He's been here before. We are former co-partners or co-workers at Power Talk 96.7, although we haven't been there in a long time. And so he is here to answer your questions and take your phone calls at 436-ME-TV option 11. We're here to talk about the GOP and Hillary Clinton, if you'd like, and Bernie Sanders and Paul Ryan, whatever might be on your mind, but specifically that debate on Wednesday night. We haven't talked about that on this show in detail. We will today. Back with your phone calls and Tal Cloud in just a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here on the program, time to welcome in Tal Cloud. Good to see you. It's been a long time.
Great to be back, John. It's great to be back, talk to you.
Are we on Power Talk, or is this Connect with Me?
I think it's Connect with Me. That's a while back, so now we're back to a lot of politics, so we got a lot to talk about today.
Unbelievable. Let's take a call. We have a caller waiting right now. Caller, you are on the air, and I think, Austin, we got to take the call. So hang on a second, caller, here, till we get organized, and Tal Cloud is here to take your call and many more. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. My thing is that I'm 50 years old now. I've voted Republican since I was able to vote. My thing is that what's going on with the Republican Party? I mean, I like the way that they're now banding together and telling these debate people, you know, what I mean, this is the way the things have to be. But prior to that, I mean, so much infighting, so much backbiting. It actually turned the whole thing into a circus. I mean, I was ready to jump. I was ready to leave the Republican Party. I was ready to, you know what I mean, go independent or whatever everybody else is doing now. But I like the fact that now they're banding together and saying, you know what, we got to get together and we got to get somebody out there. We got to get somebody in front that everybody can get behind. And all this kind of fighting, you know what I mean, what can we do? Well, I mean, we got to save the party. I think so. That's
Thank you. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and turn that down. Tal, I don't know.
I mean, I think what a lot of people are seeing right now is it's a very big field. I mean, we have two debates. We've got to, I mean, in the Republican Party, we want the cream to rise to the top. At some point, you got to get rid of the lower hanging fruit. And so I think
who's part of that lower hanging
fruit right now? Well, I mean, certainly
Pataki.
All the second stage should be gone.
Rubio?
No, Rubio's not. Rubio's definitely on the front stage, but I'm saying we need to reduce our field because what's happening is we have a lot of candidates that aren't getting traction because they don't really have any campaign or any reason to be there. Bobby Jindal may be a nice man, but he's not ready for primetime yet. Pataki, Lindsey Graham, all those people need to go. I think Mike Huckabee is past his time. Santorum certainly needs to get out. But I think what you're going to start to see, and we maybe start to saw it on the last debate, is where there's starting to be a definitive difference between the top 3 or 4 or 5 candidates now. You're starting to see a strong top challengers. I think Bush is definitely going to the back. Right now you've got Ben Carson, Trump, Carly's kind of faded back a little bit. I think you have Rubio, and you have Cruz. I mean, those are the top guys right now, and you're starting to see them come to the top.
All right, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Let me ask a quick question. I think I'm a Democrat. But I think Paul Ryan was a good selection. I think he gave his, what he wanted before he was elected, and I think he'll help the party, but he's not well liked so much by the Tea Party. That's my feeling, okay? And I'm a Democrat, so, I'm not worried about being a Republican or Democrat. What I am worried is Paul Ryan, I think, was the best pick. He said that he wanted to do this, but he's not going to let nobody take over him, over the party. So what do you think as far as Paul Ryan being elected?
All right, good question. That's an outstanding question. Paul Ryan, we saw his picture a moment ago. We'll probably put it back up here. Speaker of the House now. Good choice.
I think great choice.
And how is he going to lead the party?
Well, I think he's already showing how he's going to lead in the sense that it's a well-known fact that you can't negotiate with Obama because he'll move the ball. And I think what Ryan said about immigration reform, as many would like to see some kind of reform. Mm-hmm. What that may be, I don't know. But he's like, I'm not going to negotiate with somebody that you can't trust. And I think that attitude and mentality is what a lot of Republicans want. They want to see someone that's going to fight back, not put put up with what Obama's done on changing the rules as he goes.
Hang on, caller. So Paul Ryan over the weekend taught all the talk shows across the board. He said he will not work with President Obama on immigration because why?
Well, because in the past, when they think they have
caller.
a deal, he's changed the rules of the game, and that's been Obama's game plan. Is that you can't trust him because he doesn't follow through on what he says, and he says one thing privately and another thing publicly. And I think Paul Ryan's going to show the fighting spirit.
And he
Republicans
also,
want.
the president inserted executive order over immigration
Right.
not very long ago, and that stuck in Paul Ryan's craw. I'm sure it did.
Well, and I think that's what the Republicans wanted to see. They wanted to see someone that's going to fight back at Obama. Certainly the executive amnesty that he granted, people are frustrated with that. We need to go through regular order. And I think one thing Republicans want, and I hope Ryan does it, is they want to see Obama veto bills that the American public want.
Yeah, I'll get to you, caller, in just a moment, but I want to read this front page of the Fresno Bee today. It says, and it talks about the House Speaker, Paul Ryan, and he was quoted here saying, look, I think it would be a ridiculous notion to try and work on the issue or an issue like this with the president. We simply cannot trust on this issue talking about immigration. He feels he just can't trust President Obama.
Right, and I think he knows it's going to be a Republican in the White House. This is all going to get settled out. You know, with the presidential debates, it's all going to get settled out. We have a great chance if we let the process work. And certainly the other day in the debate, it did not work because of the moderators.
Right.
And someone who's done debates, and I've done debates with both Democrats and Republicans, one thing I've always said is do super hard, legitimate questions, not how often do you beat your wife.
And do your homework.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it didn't appear like they did their homework.
Well, they were just asking the gotcha questions. How often do you beat your wife? How, it's just not, the questions were wrong. And
Yeah.
they would have had a much better outcome had they followed the script of talking about the economy.
Yeah, it appeared that they tried to get the candidates to fight amongst each other instead of asking legitimate issues or questions that dealt with issues that the American people want to hear about. Caller, you're on the air here on Connect with Me, and we'll take your call. And, we got some time here, so what's your question?
I've got a comment for Austin Reed. I saw at the beginning of the show where he gave the weather report, what the driving conditions were, and we appreciate that. However, I don't think it's wise to show to the public an example of distracted driving under adverse weather conditions on the freeway.
Oh, do you have a political question?
No,
Okay.
I guess we were just talking about driving down
Yeah,
the
we're
road.
trying-
But really, I mean, if you looked at the debate, let's get back to the debate. I
got
thought
it.
one of the interesting points about the debate is really, my opinion, looking at Trump and Carson, this was the first debate where I really felt their inexperience on the stage showed. And the politicians in the group, I thought, did much stronger, had
Okay.
much stronger performance.
I want to put up the following pictures and get your comments from each of these candidates. Let's put up Donald Trump. Let's put up Trump. Obviously, he's in the top tier. There's no question about it.
Without
He
a doubt.
leads in most all the polls. Do you see him just being able to hang on? And that looks like a shot from The Apprentice, I'm sure.
Right. I mean, I think what I've seen with Donald Trump is he's made many comments with an exit strategy in mind. I honestly don't
What do you mean
believe-
by that?
Well, if I wasn't doing this, I could do something else. And I just have seen him make some offhanded comments that says his foot's a little bit out the door.
Almost like he's almost with a devil may care attitude.
Yeah, I don't get his. When you're running for an office, you're always moving forward. But I've seen him. Well, if I'm, I can. There's a lot of other things I can be doing. I've heard him make some comments.
But maybe that's why he is leading in the polls. That's why his popularity is through the roof, is because of that attitude. Like, hey, I could take this job, but you know what? I don't really need it. I'm just trying to help you
It
guys.
may be, but he's not. I see a little circling the drain. He's down in Iowa. I think Ben Carson's moved up. But I think the other candidates on the stage, it's going to get really tight. And that's why I think you're going to see the cream's going to rise, and there's going to be a bunch of them that have to disappear.
But here's Trump's attitude. Correct me if I'm wrong. Look, the country's in trouble. I'm here to help. If you don't want my help, it's up to you. I'll go do something else. But let the country go to hell in a handbasket. But I'll help you if you want to. Is that kind of his attitude?
That's kind of his attitude. But the problem is, what I've said is that attitude may work well when you're the biggest carnival barker on the stage. But the reality is, when he's the only carnival barker making those kind of comments against Hillary, it's not going to play.
Yeah.
And so I'm very concerned about the way he speaks, his attitude, his me personality, if he's the only one on the stage.
Is he serious?
Oh, I think he's serious, but I don't think he's a serious candidate long term. I'm sorry, a lot of people may disagree.
He's going to fade.
I think he's going to fade because of his language and the way he speaks, and people are going to get tired of that. When you're paying more attention to it, they're going to be tiresome.
Let's put up the picture of Ben Carson. We've got Ben Carson, and you know, he's a brain surgeon. He's not really a politician. Very soft-spoken, very respectful. Even when he's trying to criticize somebody, it's you know, you really have to listen hard, because Ben Carson, even in criticism, doesn't speak up that well.
Right, and I think it showed in the debate the other night where he definitely was not. He should be more front and center. If I was on his campaign team, I'd definitely want him to mix it up a little bit more than he has.
Hang on, caller.
But he needs to get out there and mix it up. I mean, he certainly has good comments. He certainly has the smarts to do this job. But again, he hasn't been on this stage before. And I thought the other night, both Carson and Trump showed their inexperience on a big debate stage.
Not aggressive enough, Carson?
Not aggressive enough. I think he needs to definitely take it up a notch.
Caller, you're on the air with Tal Cloud.
Yes, good morning.
Good
you
morning.
know, the thing is, I've been listening to the debates, both Republican and Democratic, and the thing is that many of them are apparently fighting for the Hispanic vote. But what a lot of people don't know is that through the years, the Hispanic community, most of them have voted Democrat, and they're not going to change that. You know, they continue to be Democrat no matter what. Even if the Republicans promise immigration reform, they will stay with Democrat. And that's the sad part, because I listened to a Spanish radio station, and the man that's on the air at that time, he has made comments about how he goes, because he was born in Mexico, and he says, you know, my people come from Mexico, and they come with this idea that if they become American citizens, they have to be part of the Democratic Party. And so that's why they continue through the years voting Democrat.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
I mean, honestly, I don't think we as Republicans should go after Black, Hispanic, Asian, any minority group.
Why not?
I just think we need to go after Americans. If you can vote, we should go after your vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all the different groups that we want to put everybody in a box. The reality is, if we put good policies together that make sense for the American people, not black, not brown, not white, but good American policies, I think we can get voters. Because at the end of the day, I think the Hispanic culture is much more aligned with the Republican Party than the Democratic Party. And I think the Democratic Party is turning into the party of welfare and give me, give me, give me. And that's not the Hispanic culture.
It wasn't reflective of that, though, in the last election. It seemed like it was split 50-50 in both the last two elections.
Well, I think we're getting much higher percentages of Hispanic votes, people that are voting. Now, granted, a lot of the Hispanic populations and different minority populations may not vote at the same levels as the white populations. But the people that are voting will vote for Republican if we give them a reason to vote for us.
When the president was first elected in 2008, he said he was going to bring the country together. Why do we seem more divided on race now than ever before, in your opinion?
I think it's by design. He has really taken this us versus them mentality, me versus them. And I think that's what the Republican, our nominees and our challengers on that stage, really, we've been much more inclusive. I mean, every one of our candidates is much better than people on Democratic stage. And what these debates have been strong for is that it has allowed the American people to see a diversity within our views. And there is no racist views on that stage. I mean, we have a diverse group of candidates of men and women and people of color and Hispanics. I mean, we have everybody. We have a picture of America on our stage. And there's, just because you're white, black, or brown, they're all fighting for the same votes.
Are Democrats viewed as favoring only people of color?
I don't think they're favored as only people of color, but Democrats, in my opinion, and many's opinion, is they want to use race baiting or class envy and warfare as a way to get votes, and that's getting old.
Before I go to break, I want to put up a picture of Jeb Bush and ask you what in the world has happened to Jeb Bush. In fact, where in the world is Jeb Bush in the polls? My goodness, great! I mean, he's lost his confidence when he speaks. Nobody listens. He's fighting hard, but you know what? He looks like that rat on the treadmill. And he's treading, but he's going nowhere.
He had a horrible performance the other day, going after Rubio. If you're going to go after a second-tier candidate, because Rubio's still not in the top tier, he may be moving up. It's crazy. You don't go after a second tier. You either go after Hillary, or if you want to go after Trump or Carson, do that. But going after someone at the second tier, and when you're in the third or almost fourth tier candidate, is a big mistake.
I heard somebody, I think it was David Brooks of the New York Times yesterday, talk about the fact that the reason that Jeb Bush is not a factor is because he's really a true gentleman, like a Texas gentleman, and that this race has become a cat fight. It's become a food fight, and Bush doesn't get involved in food fights, and so he's kind of standing alone against the wall while everybody else is duking it out.
See, I disagree. Rubio hasn't gotten in a food fight. Cruz is talking about issues. Carson's talking about issues. Really, the only one in the food fight is Trump. I mean, Trump's criticized Carly. Trump's criticized everybody on the stage. But it's not a food fight. But the problem with Bush is he has had a great opportunity to stand up, to show, strength. He should be going after Hillary. He can go after Trump because Trump's made some outlandish comments that I think it's good to see.
He's got no energy.
Yeah, Bush has no energy, and a lot of people have said it's almost like he doesn't want it, like he has to do it, and I can see that.
Yeah, and it's got to be an embarrassment almost to the family name, the Bush family name. His father was president, his brother was president, and now he can't even tread water. It's amazing.
But he still has $100 million in the bank, and it's not over till it's over. And once some of
you still consider him a serious threat?
I think he could come back, but his messaging needs to change. His energy level needs to change. I don't know if he can do it. Honestly, I think right now you have really 4 candidates that are at the top tier. Rand Paul's gone. I don't see him mounting a campaign. You have Cruz, Rubio, Carson, and
we have
Trump.
Almost exactly 1 year to the election. Is that a lot of time, a little time? How much is it?
It's decades. It's forever.
Really?
I mean, the reality of campaigns, what I've seen in campaigns, is you're pushing that snowball up the hill, and you're pushing and pushing and pushing, and then once that thing starts going down, if you get on it right, it's a fast ride. Yeah. And we're still pushing up the hill. I mean, what I've said about these debates, this is like the Raiders preseason game 7 years ago when they played the Jets. Do you remember if they won then or not?
No.
Who knows and who cares? Yeah. Do you remember if they beat the Jets yesterday? Absolutely, it matters. So we're still in the preseason, and it doesn't matter.
That's a great analogy. All right, Tal Cloud is here. He's from the Lincoln Club. He's held, dozens of debates himself, and he's an expert. And we're going to take your phone calls at 436-MEET-TV, option 11, talking about the presidential race and the last debate held on CNBC. And the GOP, the head of the national committee, says, hey, no more debates on the NBC stations like MSNBC, CNBC, or even the national network NBC broadcast television. We're back after this from Thomas Casagrande 2020.
We need help to find this missing child. Delano Wilson was 1 month old when he went missing. He was last seen in Indianapolis, Indiana, August 27th of 2014. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring Delano Wilson home.
Tired of waiting and waiting and waiting just to see how the weather will be tomorrow? First Alert No Wait Weather with Austin Reed has you covered. Get tomorrow's forecast and the 5-day outlook in less than a minute and at a convenient time. Weeknights between 6 and 10 p.m. only on KVHF 4, KVDC 13, KPID 31, and VTV Fresno. First Alert No Wait Weather, brought to you exclusively by the Ventura Broadcasting Company.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD, 3D, web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. On the program today is Tal Cloud from the Lincoln Club. Marco Rubio. I want to put his picture up because they say he's missed how many dozens of Senate votes, heavily criticized, of course, by Jeb Bush. Marco Rubio, is he still in it, or can we just say, look, Marco, go home, relax, put your feet up, drink a beer. It's over.
I think he's definitely still in it. I mean, if you look at his track record from when he ran for Senate, he was not the front runner for a long time. He kept working, and then he made it. He won. The whole issue about him not being in the Senate, I think it was a mistake by Bush to chase that.
Why?
Well, because it's trivial. I mean, it's almost as like when we're talking about fantasy sports. There's bigger issues to talk about. If you want to go after somebody, you should go after on policy. It's a really minor league deal. Say you've missed some votes.
But doesn't that show lack of involvement? He's not doing his job.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. But let the voters decide that. I think they can decide that. I mean, certainly Rand Paul's missed votes. Ted Cruz has missed votes. They're all running for.
They've all missed votes.
They've all missed the votes. But why you're singling out Rubio? Probably not a wise idea.
All right. Put up the picture of Ted Cruz if you could. Cruz may be the best speaker on the circuit. If you were going to hire a speaker, Ted Cruz is definitely the guy. The way he rattles things off the top of his head, rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, without any script, without any teleprompter, is phenomenal. He's got a photographic memory.
Correct. Very intelligent candidate. He's shown incredible insight, and he really turned the debate around on its heels when he went after everybody at the debate for the questions they asked. Unfortunately,
we'll show that later in the program.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Ted Cruz, though, is he has to get past being really a sharp debater and being more inclusive, get more people on his team to move his numbers up, because he really hasn't moved up as much as I would have thought he would. But certainly this debate performance the other night is going to send him higher in the polls.
Democrats portray Cruz as the devil.
Well, yeah, because they're very afraid of his style of leadership. He's very combative. He's not going to put up with any guff from the Democrats, so to speak. But the reality is, how will that translate to being president? Again, when he's the only one on the stage, are we going to be able to handle that kind of demeanor? We may be able to, we may not, but it's certainly good having him in a debate.
All right, Carly Fiorina, let's put her picture up. I have not heard her name in a prominent way since, what was it, 2 debates ago?
Yeah, she shot up after, I think, the second debate. First debate, she did very well. She made it to the big boys stage, so to speak, and then she was criticized for not smiling. Certainly eloquent. Some of the criticism I've seen on her in various editorials is she's kind of a Johnny One-Note on the problems with Hillary Clinton, and she needs to expand what she's talking about.
Good on foreign policy?
Yeah, she's very good on foreign policy, but she's shallow, again, because she doesn't have the experience of being elected. The depth. And that's Ben Carson's that way, Trump's that way, and Carly's that way because they haven't been elected. So the reality is, though, making a pretty good impression, and she's bringing some great issues to the table.
All right, Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, let's put his photo up. And I've often wondered, a few years ago after Hurricane Sandy, giving a big hug to President Obama, maybe that is still haunting him, perhaps? What do you think?
I had someone the other day bring that up. They said at Halloween the other night. They said, him hugging on Obama right before the election after Sandy really concerns me. But he had one of the best lines of the night, going after fantasy football. When they were talking about fantasy football and what's supposed to be a big debate, it was really problematic. So I think that he shoved it down their throat. Those moderators, they did a horrible job.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I thought he did a pretty good job.
All right, I guess we'll take a call here. It's the second time this person has called the show, so we'll take it and see what he's got on us. Maybe he has a second question. Who knows? Caller, I know you've called before today. What's your question?
No, my question is I just wanted to take issue. I called earlier. I said I voted Republican since I was 18. It's just that I want to take issue with that one lady that called and said Hispanic. It's not a Hispanic thing around here. We're Mexican. And to be called Hispanic, that's just one way to that's why a lot of them go to the Democratic thing, because Republicans, again, I vote Republican, I've been voted Republican, but to be called a Hispanic, that really turns me off. But we are not Hispanics, we are Mexicans.
Okay.
Call us Mexicans, and we'll vote for you. We do have the same, we have a lot of, like that guy was saying, we have a lot of the same priorities, a lot of the same values. That the Republican Party has, but to be called Hispanic,
all right.
The Hispanics, that's Democrat. Yeah,
but we got the gist of it. Thank you very much.
It's almost like, but what is Ted Cruz? They're Cubans. That's a tough one. I think if you had candidates walking around saying Mexican, you'll have a number of people say no, we're Hispanic. It's all, unfortunately, that's why I say I don't care what you are. We're Americans.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, if you're an American citizen, you can vote. That's what you are. You may be of Hispanic descent, of Mexican descent, of Cuban descent, of Asian descent, Irish.
Who
I mean,
cares?
I'm a mutt. I mean, I don't look at you and say, what is your background? And I think that's where the Democrats, they've put everybody in this socially economic group or this tagline. Religious group, gay, transgender group, whatever you may be.
Yeah.
And I think Republicans need to say, forget it. We're Americans. Let's do what's best for this country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
All right. Caller, hey, you're on the air. Go ahead.
I'd like to say something to that caller just called about being Mexicans and all that. I'm a Mexican, I'm American. But what I kind of didn't like what he said was this. Myself, I'm an American. It doesn't make any difference, Hispanic or whatever race that we are Americans one, okay? And whether he likes it or not, being Mexican, Hispanic, that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
We were born here. We are Americans first, and we should not be fighting, among the Republicans, the Democrats, and that's why we have this problem with and the racist thing. I am an American first. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
He just
echoed what you just said.
what I just said, which is, and I think, but maybe we're onto something here. I mean, a call like that, the reality is let's stop putting everybody in a box. Let's stop doing the best policies. And I can tell you right now, the Republican policies that are showing up on that stage in that debate, those are policies that Americans want. And they're tired of being put in a box if you're gay and transgender, if you're for abortion, if you're whatever it may be. We're Americans.
I want to roll some sound bites from that debate the other night on CNBC. I want to pull up Ted Cruz #1. Just take your time there, Austin. I want Ted Cruz #1 because he absolutely destroyed the moderators at CNBC.
One of the best debate sequence I've ever heard.
I know.
Without a doubt.
It was terrific because they were talking about fantasy football. They were talking about, that, what is it, FanDuel? It comes up
yeah, exactly.
every 5 seconds you see something on FanDuel, no matter what station, it be radio or TV. Let me know when you got that queued up. Ted Cruz won. You got it queued up? Almost. No, Ted Cruz won. It's not Social Security.
This is live TV, everybody, so we're having some fun. But I mean,
Ted Cruz won.
The way he was able to rattle off that was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're not talking about Social Security. We're talking about destroying the. You got it? Okay, let's roll it, and you'll hear what Ted Cruz had to say. Roll that, baby.
Congressional Republicans, Democrats, and the White House are about to strike a compromise that would raise the debt limit, prevent a government shutdown, and calm financial markets that fear of another Washington-created crisis is on the way. Does your opposition to it show that you're not the kind of problem solver American voters want?
Let me say something at the outset. The questions that have been asked so far in this debate illustrate why the American people don't trust the media. This is not a cage match. And you look at the questions. Donald Trump, are you a comic book villain? Ben Carson, can you do math? John Kasich, will you insult 2 people over here? Marco Rubio, why don't you resign? Jeb Bush, why have your numbers fallen? How about talking about the substantive issues people care about?
One of the best exchanges I've ever seen.
Without a doubt. It changed the focus of the debate. It changed what people were talking about the next day at the water cooler. But it also, it made people realize the Republican National Committee needs to get out of the way. And these candidates have had it. And the reality is, I think that's going to certainly raise Cruz a lot of money and maybe take him to the next level in this campaign.
Caller, you're on the air with Tal Cloud. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment about the whole Hispanic and Mexican and the whole cultural issues behind politics. Unfortunately, and I'm Caucasian, but unfortunately, that has become a platform for our presidential elections now, it seems. And I feel that just for that fact, it does make it pertinent. If you're a candidate and you want California, you don't say Hispanic, you say Mexican. If you're in Florida and you want their vote, you don't say Hispanic, you say Cuban, you say Puerto Rican. It's been that way since the beginning of this country. If you look at New York, you had the boroughs, you had the barrios, you had many different cultures separate themselves just because of their cultural differences. And I think that it's important for a presidential candidate to recognize that. Yeah. I'm not saying that it needs to divide us. To say that we're all Americans on top is great when you're in a debate, and it sounds wonderful. But the truth is that this country's great because we're a melting pot, and I think all the cultures need to be recognized, whether you're black, white, whatever it is. Mexicans need to recognize that the Caucasians are here. Caucasians need to recognize that the Cubans are here. Whatever it is, but a Hispanic classification does not exist. It was actually created by the political party to make a census vote. Okay. And my wife is Mexican, and my family's Mexican, and that is very important to them. The pride that will make them stand behind a candidate is the same pride that they're telling you that they're Mexican and that they're not Hispanic.
You got it.
Not really a question, just a comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that's what he's saying is true, and we've heard this for years. It's almost a cliche what that caller called in, and I appreciate the phone call, but it's true is what he's saying, and we've heard this before.
No, we have, but I think the Democrats have gotten way too, they've gone down so many economic, social levels, all the different levels. It's getting out of control, where they're trying to campaign on every little thing that divides us, not unites us. I mean, think about this. Do you think Ronald Reagan would have been talking about gay and transgender as a separate group? He'd have targeted that group. Do you think he would have targeted specifically Hispanics or Cubans? Or no. He was targeting Americans, and that's what made his campaign so great. And so I think really in the last 3 cycles, we've really started targeting. But at some point, we just need to have a policy that's good for everybody. And certainly Obama's policies have not.
I picked up on something you said, and we ought to be talking about things that unite us, not divide us. Is that the problem?
Well, I think the Republicans are doing that. I think on that stage the other night, you saw them talking about issues that most of them would agree with, maybe a little different edges. But the Democrats are talking about issues that divide the American people. They're talking the us versus them mentality. Everything, poor me, or poor you. I'm going to help you get better. You're going to be a pot of gold under every tree if I'm elected. And the Republicans aren't doing that. And I think that's why we have a stronger candidate.
And you don't have relationships on the Hill like you used to have. President Reagan going to lunch or dinner with Tip O'Neill, the House Speaker. You don't see that happening now.
But that's part of it. You did with Clinton. You did with Bush. You just don't see that happen with Obama. When he's been there so long, we've kind of forgotten. He's been there almost 8 years now. And that's not the relationship he has. Look, he's only played golf with 3 members of the Democratic House. How many golf matches has he played? And he's only played
the Democratic House?
Democratic members of the House. He's not invited them to play golf. So the reality is, John Boehner's played golf with a number of people. Not that matters, but I'm just saying it's the difference in mentality. And Obama's pretty much, he's not inclusive, even to his own party.
He's divided.
He's divisive, and that's why many within his own party don't care for him.
All right, let's take a call here before we go to break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Tal Cloud.
Wasn't Trump that started all this racist thing?
Can't hardly hear you.
Upset a lot of people.
What's that?
I think Trump. I heard the Trump comment. The reality is, I think Trump. Whether you like the way he said what he did bring the debate to the forefront.
About
immigration, putting the wall up, making them pay for it.
Yeah.
Many of us don't. There's no reality of how we're going to take 11 million people and throw them out. But that's certainly a good conversation for all the candidates to talk about it. Whether you support that idea that we should take 11 million people and throw them out of this country, or some other conversation, it's good debate. And I think without Trump doing that, it's almost like Social Security. The Republicans would have been afraid to address it. So I commend Trump for bringing up your immigration.
Right. When we come back, we're talking with Tal Cloud. We'll play a soundbite with Ted Cruz, and he's talking about Social Security. And then we'll talk to Ben Carson. Well, we won't talk to him. We'll play a soundbite. He is talking about gay marriage, and he's also talking about the Constitution, which says it's all-inclusive. Back with your phone calls, and this from Thomas Casagrande. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. The Justice Network is seen here in Fresno and made possible by the Ventura Broadcasting Company. To see how law enforcement all across Central California are fighting crime, watch Local Choice with Austin Reed, where you'll see interviews and special reports with those who keep us safe every day. Local Choice with Austin Reed, daily on the Justice Network, Fresno, exclusively on KVBC Channel 13.5.
We can save and preserve and strengthen Social Security by making no changes for seniors, but for younger workers, gradually increasing the retirement age, changing the rate of growth so that it matches inflation, and critically allowing younger workers to keep a portion of our tax payments in a personal account that we own, we control, and we can pass on to our kids.
All right, Ted Cruz talking about Social Security and how to save it on that CNBC debate last Wednesday. So is his idea on how to save it, which he said basically the younger generation, they're not going to be on the same Social Security as, say, you and I, the older generation. The older generation will have it saved, but the younger generation will maybe have to pay more into it or maybe privatizing it. What do you think his plan?
Well, no, you know what I think was great about what he said is he's putting an idea forward. He's not going to get it. I mean, that's not going to happen. But the reality, he's putting it forward. Maybe he gets 2/3 of it or half of it or a quarter of it, but it gives people a substantive issue that matters. They can talk about it. And that's why I commend what Ted Cruz has done, because, again, you're bringing great ideas to the forefront. That's something that we're talking about doing that affects all Americans, is Social Security. And it's ridiculous to think that we just keep doing the same thing as we've done before with different consequences.
Doesn't it Social Security end, I think, in 2037, I've read?
There's been a moving target. But the reality is, by him addressing it and by him trying to fix it or improve it, that's what Republicans should be doing. That's what these debates are really good for.
All right, next soundbite, I want to talk about Ben Carson because, he's very mild, very soft-spoken, almost have to, like perk your ears up just to hear him talk. He's not very confrontational, there's no question about it, but he's up in the polls, he's right near Donald Trump, talking about gay marriage and the Constitution and being all-inclusive. Here's the one and only, the neurosurgeon, Ben Carson.
I believe that our Constitution protects everybody, regardless of their sexual orientation or any other aspect. I also believe that marriage is between one man and one woman, and that there is no reason that you can't be perfectly fair to the gay community. They shouldn't automatically assume that because you believe that marriage is between one man and one woman, that you are a homophobe. And this is one of the myths that the left perpetrates on our society. And this is how they frighten people and get people to shut up. That's what the PC culture is all about, and it's destroying this nation. And the fact of the matter is, we, the American people, are not each other's enemies. It's those people who are trying to divide us who are the enemies, and we need to make that very clear to everybody.
Is Ben Carson right?
I think Ben Carson's right to say that. I mean, it is a PC culture. When you're electing a president, you're electing on how they think. And he's not saying, I'm a homophobe because I don't agree with you. He's saying what he believes in. And I think when you're running for president, that's what we're electing. When I'm running campaigns, I always tell my candidates, I want you to be who you are, not who I want you to be. If you are organic to yourself and you're who you are, let the voters see that. And I think that's what Ben Carson did. And I also think that is why Ben Carson's shot up in the polls, because he's saying what he believes in, whether you agree or disagree with him. Because guess what? No one's going to agree with any of these people on stage 100%. Yeah. And the reality is that's why these debates are so good.
Yeah, Ben Carson, of course, created a lot of controversy with some comments about, whether or not a Muslim should be in the White House. You remember that?
Yes, but you had to listen to the whole soundbite.
Yeah.
And if you listen to start to finish on that, I think he was very true. If you had a Muslim that believed in Sharia law, heck no, they shouldn't be in the White House. And I think that's very different than just saying Muslims, period. So right. If you listen to the whole soundbite, he was truly talking about the Sharia law portion of it. So I definitely think he brings many great things to the table.
All right. Got another call here. Real quick. Caller, short on time. Go ahead.
Real fast. I was the Caucasian that called in earlier with the Hispanic comment. Okay. And I think, Thomas, that was a great point on the Reagan years. I really like that. And I'm Republican, and I think Reagan was a great president. But what my question is here, don't you think the political party now and the American people that we have come accustomed to the puppet show? And I'm not sure if the American people are equipped to elect or recognize a president that is highly intelligent.
Okay.
I also agree on your point with Ben Carson. I say go Ben Carson. I think he's a great presidential-elect.
All right.
I think he'll make a great president.
All right.
But he speaks like a surgeon, and he does need more energy. So thank you for your comment. It made a great point, and it made me think. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
I mean, the reality is I think the American people are ready for some legitimate honesty. I mean, we have not had any honesty out of this president that we have now. He's going to bring this country together. It's more divisive than ever. He's going to raise wages for people that, our wages have actually dropped. Race wars are bigger now than when he came in office, and it's because of the way he speaks and the way he looks to divide and conquer. And I think the Republicans on that stage, the winner is going to be the one that can unite us and have a breakfast in America like Reagan had.
Do we have time to run the Jeb Bush soundbite? We do. All right, I want to talk about Jeb Bush. He is a gentleman. There's no question about it. However, he did go out on a limb. He did criticize Marco Rubio for missing work, missing numerous votes. He called him a no-show. Here's that soundbite with Jeb Bush from the debate last Wednesday criticizing
I'm a constituent
Marco
of the senator,
Rubio.
and I helped him, and I expected that he would do constituent service, which means that he shows up to work. He got endorsed by the Sun-Sentinel because he was the most talented guy in the field. He's a gifted politician. But Marco, when you signed up for this was a 6-year term, and you should be showing up to work. I mean, literally, the Senate, what is it, like a French work week? You get like 3 days where you have to show up? You can campaign or just resign and let someone else take the job. There are a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck in Florida as well. They're looking for a senator that will fight for them each and every day.
I get to respond, right?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Well, it's interesting. Over the last few weeks, I've listened to Jeb as you've walked around the country and said that you're modeling your campaign after John McCain, that you're going to launch a furious comeback the way he did by fighting hard in New Hampshire and places like that, carrying your own bag at the airport. You know how many votes John McCain missed when he was carrying out that furious comeback that you're now modeling it under?
He wasn't my
No, Jeb, I don't remember. Well, let me tell you, I don't remember you ever complaining about John McCain's vote record. The only reason why you're doing it now is because we're running for the same position, and someone has convinced you that attacking me is going to help you. Here's the bottom line. My campaign is going to be about the future of America. It's not going to be about attacking anyone else on this stage. I will continue to have tremendous admiration and respect for Governor Bush. I'm not running against Governor Bush. I'm not running against anyone on the stage. I'm running for president because there is no way we can elect Hillary Clinton to continue the policies of Barack Obama.
So was Rubio's counter punch effective?
I think it was more than effective, and it could have been a knockout. And the reality of what I've always said when I'm running a campaign, I love it when someone attacks me because it gives me the opportunity to come back at you. And I think Rubio was classic in the way he came back. He had his facts right, and I think that could have been the knockout punch of George Bush. I don't know if he can recover from that.
30 seconds left. I want to switch to local politics real quick. Only got 30 seconds. Holly Carter is going to run for District 6 council seat. What do you think of that?
Well, I think she's going to have a tough fight with Jeremy Pierce. I mean, Jeremy Pierce is definitely going to be a very strong candidate.
Because?
Because he has a lot of support, a lot of elected support, and a lot of business community support already. Holly does as well. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be good to see the two of them go at it for their vision of North Fresno. So I think there's going to be two strong candidates. It's going to be a great race.
Wow, she's announcing today, in fact, having a news conference right now at 11 o'clock. Holly Carter, the small business owner, of course, here in the city of Fresno. And Tal, you got to come back sooner.
I'll be here anytime. Thank you.
It's been a while. You come back again.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Tal Cloud from the Lincoln Club. And we're going to continue our program tomorrow here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. We'll, I think, have Holly Carter here talking along with Jerry Duncan, a former city councilman who's talking about small businesses here in the city of Fresno. Back tomorrow. Have a great day.